Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good night, good morning. I hope you guys are doing great. And I'm back again for another interesting conversation yet. I am so excited that everything just kind of aligns with what you want to do and what you want to achieve when you become a lot more in tune with what is happening in your life. I got off the previous live. I had an in depth conversation with one of my big sisters of all times that I love so much. I've told you guys from the previous video that I'm now very intentional about living. And I have this awesome person in my life that has really helped me navigate these last few years. And part of the conversation that we had is what I wanted to put forth with you this afternoon, hoping that it inspires somebody. Like, I want this to be a very interactive conversation, and I hope that you guys would engage. So, hello, Kwame. How are you doing? I'm super excited to see you here. Please share my video. Please subscribe, follow the page, share this video with other people so that people would know that there is some awesomeness right here to be had, and people get interested in seeing what goes on and maybe pick up a thing or two, right? That is why we're here. So I was talking to my sister and we were sharing about, relationships and the pitfalls and what happens and all of that. And that gave rise and gave birth to this discussion about how we sometimes know that relationships that we're in are not serving us as a person. And yet we are so stuck in it that we don't have the energy and what it takes to move away from it, even when we know it's not working. You haven't caught up with me for a long time and you're happy but you're sleeping. It's okay, my darling. You can always come back and watch it later. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't get deleted. You can always come back and watch it. So you're in a relationship because you don't want to be by yourself. I get that. But you're also in this relationship hoping that the other person that you're with would actually inflate your bubble. The person will put air in your bubble and help you to rise and aspire to be all that you can be. It's part of the reason why you're in a relationship. You get into relationship with somebody so that you can complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. You can support and encourage and motivate each other. Is why you're in a relationship with somebody. Unfortunately, though, some people come into relationship with you thinking that it is your job to retain and maintain this relationship and expect that you would always have your air full, like you would always be full to the brim and be able to give the emotional strength and support and every other thing that is needed here in order to make your relationship progress, forgetting that we are all human beings. Everybody needs support and help and encouragement sometimes. And it is not your job solely to keep your relationship going. Laura, how are you, sweetie? Mwah. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you so much, darling. Now, here are some of the things that we all ought to be looking out for when we're in relationship with other people. I told you that relationships are you two intertwining and wanting to elevate and progress and make, have an impact on each other positively. And so when you're in a relationship that is not serving you, in the sense that you're with somebody that never celebrates you, That is something that you really need to be cognizant of. How many of us are in relationships with men and women that are never happy for you when things are going right in your life? You've had this promotion at work, you call your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever, and you're so excited, like you can't wait to tell them the good news about what has happened in your life, and all you're getting is good for you, lucky you. Not, oh, baby, I'm so happy for you. I'm so thankful that this has finally come through for you. I know how much you've worked hard for this and how badly you wanted this. And I'm so excited for you. Good for you. Good for you. Good luck. At least you're doing better. At least somebody is getting where they need to get to. Right? Another classic example is this, is that you studied so hard for an exam and you've taken the exam and you passed. You made it. You got what you were made to get, right? Okay for you. Those kinds of comments. And they never have a word of positive anything to say to you. You have this ambition or aspiration to do a particular thing. Let's say you want to build a house, you want to undertake a project. This is a man or woman that you're with. If anybody else is against you, you're expecting at least that the man or woman that you're sleeping in the same bed with, as long as whatever you're wanting to do is not going to take anything away from you, you're not bringing any harm to anybody, you're not trying to kill somebody, you're not trying to, I don't know, you're not doing anything negative. What you want to do actually is meant for the common good of your relationship. But sometimes just because it's you that has the idea and you weren't expected to be the one to have the idea, the other person is shutting it down or not even engaging in what you're wanting to do. Let's say it's a project of putting up a house or buying a house. And that person is somebody that you're with. And you're working really hard to save up whatever it takes to buy this house. Finally, you've put yourself in that position where you're able to do it. And the man that you're dating is saying, good for you. At least you have the money to buy the house. There's no excitement about, the woman or man that I'm with is being ambitious and is pushing boundaries to do anything. They don't put any air in your bubble. There's no air in your balloon at all. Right? There's no appreciation. There is no admiration. There's no adoration that this person that I'm with, forsaking all others and pushing boundaries and doing the needful to get where they need to do, is doing everything to make it happen. And it hurts. Because, your own energy, emotions, support, inner strength, and all of that is enough to get you, individual, where you need to go on a daily basis, right? And I understand, like, we have to support each other. But if you have to have enough energy for yourself and now have to drag whoever you're with alongside you on that journey and have enough energy emotionally to pull them from the ruts that they're on a daily basis, it becomes tedious. And if you don't take care and if you don't balance that, not only does that person sink, but you sink with them because they don't have the fortitude and the resilience and the mindset and the everything that is required to get, from point A to point B on a daily basis. You can support somebody for a day, a week, a month, a couple months. Let's say you're dating a spouse who's lost their mom, a parent, or had a loss. You can support them emotionally for a time. It's a bad time. They're in a bad patch. Their heart is broken. Life has dealt them some really difficult cards and thrown some things that the hands that they've been dealt are really, really difficult at that particular time. You can stand for two. You can take the bullet for two for a time whilst they try to unravel what is going on in their mind and fix it. But that person also has to get to that point where they want to recover and deal with the grief that they have. If that doesn't happen, week after week, day after day, you have to be the one that takes the bullet for two. Believe you me, even soldiers get tired. Right? There comes that time in your relationship where you don't even have the emotional strength to give anymore. It's not that you don't want to give it, you just don't have it to give. We all need our cups full all the time. We need help with filling up these cups. You can't do it by yourself and keep the weight of the relationship only on your shoulders for a long period of time. It is impossible to do. The other thing is that when you're dating somebody or you're with somebody who is a very reactive person, there's some people in this life that are like that. There's a bunch of people that think through their actions before they do. And there are other people that are very reactive people. As the thing is unfolding, they're not thinking about the steps, the words that they speak, the things that they say, the actions that they do. They're just doing in response to what is happening in live real time. And if you're a very reactive person, you always mess things up 9 times out of 10. It is only when the things that are causing you to be reactive have stopped and you sit back and then reality check kicks in and your brain is now in gear and you're thinking, what did I just do? That is the only point. When you come back to your senses and recognize that I've been an idiot. But by that time, a lot of the time, the damage that you've done by being a reactive person is just too grave. Sometimes it's unforgivable. How do you unpick that? Right? Dating a reactive person is hard work. It's hard work. And if you don't have the emotional fortitude of your own to stand in that moment of adversity, you would also equally do things that you can't take back. Dating a reactive person, really difficult. For example, we're human. You make mistakes. Don't put this here. I don't want you to ever speak to this person. I don't want you to do whatever. We're human, and you do it. Sometimes you're doing it not even from a place of evil or spite. You're doing it just to help the situation. But just because the other person told you not to do something and you did the said thing means that now it's all unraveling. You put your foot in the wrong place and the person is so mad and now they're saying really nasty things to you and being so horrible. I don't care what it is that is going on in your life, but if you're somebody that can't control your emotions and really pull yourself in check when you're doing certain things, and then don't even want to take responsibility for your actions when you're destroying things, then don't be surprised that nobody wants to be around you. That's the gospel truth. Because words are so powerful that once they're spoken out into the atmosphere, you can't take them back. Right? So if you're dating somebody and that person means anything to you, as a reactive person, when situations happen, living intentionally means that you're being, purposeful and thinking about everything that you're doing. Walk away from the situation. It's actually better to keep your gob shut than saying things that you can't take back. So if you're with somebody and there's a difficult situation, the person puts their foot wrong. We're human. We all make mistakes. And your spouse puts their foot wrong And all you're doing is being spiteful and saying really horrible, nasty things that you can't take back. And then you have to suffer the consequences of your actions. Why are you now guilt tripping and making it all about somebody else, right? So I was talking to my sister, and you put your foot wrong, you've done something that you shouldn't have done, and now you're being called all the most horrific names ever, when all you were trying to do in the first place was to salvage a situation. And after the partner has done all of that, so in my sister's case, after the partner had done all these nasty things, he's blocked her off social media, deleted her number and everything, called her nasty stuff, left voice messages, and it's full of insult and pain. Emailed her, and it's continuous abuse down the line. After 48 hours, when everything has cooled down, he's now come back to his senses. Oh, bollocks, I've deleted the number. So now I don't even have access to my girlfriend anymore. Now he's emailing, asking for a number, right? You want a number, emailing, asking for a number back. After you've done the havoc and bulldozed the house down and bent it down and given instructions, and I never want to see you in my life again, go burn in hell, and all the nastiness that you said that you didn't even mean. You said it in a moment of anger. But you see, a lot of people need to start learning how to take responsibility for your actions and the things that you say. Because the truth about the matter is that when you love somebody, you never want to hurt them. You never want to hurt them. It doesn't matter what is going on in your life. The fact that you're mad at them does not mean that it gives you any kind of opportunity or the right to hurt anybody that you love. My parents love me. I put my foot wrong so many times. But my mom or dad never told me that they hated me, that I'm evil, burn in hell. None of that. No matter how horrible I was, or the fact that I didn't listen to advice that I was given and I went my own way, and now I've been bitten and now I've come back to eat humble pie. My parents never said to me that they hated me. I was horrible, evil, none of that. Go burn in hell. Why? They were angry. They could have said all of that, not mean it. But if they had said that to me, that they hated me, I'd have probably never wanted nothing to do with them again. I don't care that they're my parents, but you just don't say things that are spiteful to people that you love. Plain and simple. Anger exists. It's an emotion that we are allowed to feel. Even the Bible acknowledges that anger is a thing. And we are allowed to be angry. Even the person that made us gets angry, but you need to have control when you're pissed off, so that you're not creating havoc that you can't unpick once the dust settles. I've seen men get angry and they just walk away from the situation, because opening their mouth means that they will say things and do things that they can't take back. So you know what? The best thing is to remove myself from the situation and just be quiet. And the tempests that rage always come down, They do. You always get angry, but whatever has made you angry will pass. And now you would come back to your own senses again. And can you really look at yourself in that angry moment and said that you've done everything that you needed to humanly possibly do to ensure that you don't hurt anybody? And so when people then decide that this is a toxic situation, It doesn't help me. It doesn't serve me. I'm just going to walk away from this. Then that must be acceptable too. And some of you listening to me can relate to what I'm saying. You're probably dating or in a relationship with or married to a man or woman who fits the exact bill that I'm talking about right here. Having the emotional strength and fortitude and power to keep going in a relationship is very important. It is. Having the resilience to keep going is important. But it falls to two people who want to be together to do their needful to make relationships happen. It doesn't fall to one person. It takes two people to tango. It does. Right? So sometimes it just makes me think that sometimes people think that they're ready to be in a relationship, but in actual fact, they're not. They like the trimmings that come with dating and being in a relationship, like sex on demand and the fact that you get somebody to be with and share your life with and this, that, and the other. You can't relate. You found a good husband. Lucky you. Laroque, I'm very happy for you that you found a good husband, but I guarantee you that there are people who are quiet and not saying a word, and they're going through the sad thing that I'm talking about right here, right now. It's happening. And I'm so happy that I had this conversation with my sister, and it was the most liberating and refreshing experience that we had. So many people are in relationships that are not serving you, but you're so scared of being by yourself that you would much rather be in that just so that you can have somebody to come home to, even though you know full well that relationship is not serving you. As I said, we all get into relationships so that we can be edified, we can feel that we have air in our bubble, and we can, touch the sky. That's why we all get into relationships with other people. You want to be with somebody who sees the best in you and always focuses on the strengths that you have and always puts air in that side of you and always wants you to be a better person. And anything that is other than that is always focused on the downers, the things that are not so great in your life, the faults that you have, the wrongs that you do. Like, none of us are perfect. We all have blemishes. I have my own. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the most fantastic human being that ever existed. I am work in progress, and I'm always out there wanting to be a better person. But some people just get stuck in a rut. Just get stuck. It's like being victim has just become it. Like you can't dig yourself out of it and be something else. You have it in you to be great, you do. We all have it in us to be great. Bad things, good things happen to the best of us. Here's the difference. How you choose to respond to the situation is what makes the difference. How comes two people are born in a home by the same parents, so the circumstances and events were the same for all people? One person chooses to see the good things that are in this life that they have, even the mere fact that you're alive alone. And other people choose dysfunction and always blame somebody else for all the woes and everything that happened in their life and not make anything out of it. I watched a movie last night, And it was about two brothers. They were all born in a home that was full of money. They had everything that they had to make a life for themselves. One son was the obedient son that listened to their parents' every bidding and did everything that the parents wanted him to be, made a success of everything. And when the dad passed away, he inherited the business and became the CEO of the business. It's a very old movie. The other brother, on the other hand, chose self sabotage. Same home, same circumstances, same everything. Two different people, two different choices. One person chose to be the obedient kid that did everything and, took advantage of all the opportunities and became successful. The other person had equal opportunities to succeed too, but chose self sabotage. Everything else that happened in his life was everybody else's fault but his own. Never take responsibility for his actions or inactions. You know, so he wouldn't excel academically. He chose to drink and sleep with anything in skirt and do all the other things, whilst the other brother was busy being, the best that he could be. And then when the business was then given to the better brother, then this one is now pissed off that, oh, I love my family and my family don't love me and they gave everything that I have, and I should be the manager of this business, not that other one. I can do a better job. And yet everything he always did brought shame, disgrace, and destruction to the home. He would drive and, end up in court. He would beat a woman and be rude and did all the nastiness. Right? So you're two different people that have come into a relationship as individuals. Relationships are about celebrating the diversity that you both bring to the table. They're two people, two distinctive upbringings, two distinctive, like you're different. Even by looking at the two people, you're different. One is a man, one is a woman. One has boobs, one doesn't. And instead of being able to celebrate this diversity, how you're different and what aspects and things and strengths and weaknesses that you both bring to the table, and celebrating the things that are the strengths and the important elements of the relationship that will elevate the pair of you and make you unstoppable, unbreakable, and everything good that comes with it. Unfortunately, in relationships that are not serving you, one person feels they're in competition with the other, can't bring themselves to just be happy for you for the good things that are happening in your life, can't spare you on by doing everything humanly possible to make you feel like, you're the best thing and you're walking on air to be the best version of yourself possible. It's tough. It's hard. And so when you have reactive partners, every time there's an inconvenience or there's something that, isn't quite working, because life is happening. Life doesn't always dish out good things and, it's all hanky-dory and everything is nice and happy. Sometimes challenges are thrown in there as part of life to just see how you guys are going to wave around it and navigate. It's part of it. I don't know anybody who is in a successful relationship that doesn't have a story to tell. But if one party always has to do the everything to keep it going, to give the fuel, the air, the oxygen, the blood, the everything, the food, the nutrients, the everything that it takes for the survival, it gets tedious. It starts to feel like a job. Like um, chores that you do. I don't know anybody who loves doing chores because it's not made by the very sound of the word. It doesn't feel like anything that is exciting to do. It's something that you just got to get done because it needs to be done. It's not something that you're doing because you're necessarily enjoying doing it, right? And relationships are sacrifice. It involves sacrificing something. Like a job, it involves you being invested in what you're doing. And if one party decides that they're just going to take an entrenched position and just say, this is me, you found me, and this is who I am, and so either take me as you find me or don't, then it means that there's no opportunity for growth. And anything that is refusing to grow is dead. It dies. It is plain and simple. That's the gospel truth, right? So I'm not saying that you can't find somebody that is work in progress. And just by virtue of the fact that they're around you, they have the oxygen that it takes to change and be better as a person. There are people like that. But you see, the difference lies in the fact that the person who is changing and growing has made that conscious decision that I'm not where I need to be. I am work in progress, but at least I have the willingness to change. Unfortunately, a lot of both men and women are out there wanting relationships, but are not prepared to be participatory in the success of the relationship. Some of us have worked on our mind a lot. And I hope that you're one that has worked on your mind and is always seeking growth and positivity on your mind. We've all gone through stuff. I've been through my fair share. Emotional support, emotional help, emotional therapy is a thing, especially in our community and in our society as Africans, as Afro-Americans, as Black people. A lot of people don't want to hear about emotion. Emotion has kind of been equated to weakness, especially our men. What value can there possibly be in going to tell a shrink or speak to somebody about what I'm dealing with my emotions? That is just a complete waste of time. It's not. Because you need it. I haven't always been like this. I used to be that pity party, feel sorry for me, woe is me, this has happened to me, oh my God, why me? And I've done all of that. So I'm not here to accuse or criticize anybody. I'm just saying that the only thing that makes you a different person is your willingness to try something else. That can't be superimposed on you. It's a decision that you come to. When you come to that realization that I have done this thing in this particular way for so long, it's not serving me anymore. Maybe let me change and do what LaRoque is saying is going to help me. Maybe that is going to get me where I need to be. That is what will make things different. Being stuck in a rut doesn't help. We're all broken. Every single one of us, we're all broken by something. Right? There was a stage in my life that events of the past made me lose the zeal for life. I suffered a loss in my lifetime, and that loss was suicidal. Somebody that I loved dearly decided they didn't want to be here anymore and went ahead to take their life. It traumatized me. It made me see life in a whole new perspective. And I was beginning to spiral down, not a very good hole. You see, I could have just stayed in that rut and been negative, not see any beauty in life, hate everything that life stands for, like be desensitized to the sensitivities of life and just be this robot that feels nothing and just be and just like every day I'm just existing and just enduring the life, praying that one day I can just die and then that will be the end of the story. I could have just chosen to do that. Very easy to do. Shut everybody out, not talk to anybody, just be miserable. And there's a lot of people like that. Oh, yes, they're dressed up and they've worn the makeup and they look the part and they feel the part. And you meet them and they look like they're $1 million and they've got their shit together. But guys, live, get closer to them and you will realize all that glitters isn't gold after all. Here is the difference. I went downhill and I had to come to that place of brokenness where I admitted to myself and to the people that were there helplessly trying to help me and say, I have done this for so long, my way. It's not helping me. It's not helping the energy around me, the people around me that love me to bits, are literally choking and suffocating because it feels so helpless that it can't do anything to change my mindset. But I had to get to that point where I was literally on my knees and accept that it's not working and I have to change something. Many people are not able to get to that point, right? Or refuse to get to that point of accepting help. We are all broken people. Some people think that the hassle that they have on their back is the worst possible thing that could ever happen in this life to anybody. You don't understand the life that I have. You don't know how difficult it is. How can you understand when you haven't had the opportunity to live my life? For example, when you're a rich person saying to a poor person, somebody from a poor background, that stop being the victim and see things from a whole different light so that things can begin to move in a positive light for you. The poor person is probably going to say to you, what do you know about life? When you've always had a golden spoon in your life, what can you possibly know about my life? And how dare you try come to talk to me about how I should bother fixing my life when you haven't had anything that I've had? I've had people who have lost parents say to me, you are so fortunate. You grew up with a mom and dad. What can you possibly understand about me who had to grow up an orphan? Well, what do you know about my life when you haven't lived it? Equally, I've seen parents who have children. You don't have any children, so what can you possibly know about raising children? Okay. That hurts. That stung like hell. But anyway, lots of different examples to give here. But at the end of the day, my darling, all that it boils down to is this: my decision to want to change and be a better person. Working on yourself. Lynn, how are you? I'm good. Working on yourself. Getting the emotional therapy and support that you need, especially to the men. There is no shame in that, you know. Actually, I have recognition and the highest respect for any man that would admit that they're not there emotionally and they need help. Like there's no shame in owning up to the fact that life has dealt you some difficult challenges and now you don't even know how to even reason or figure it out in your mind anymore. There is absolutely no shame in that. But how many of our men are willing to accept help and do what is necessary to get you where you need to be? How many of us are willing to do that? And how many of us don't look at other people in a funny way when we know that they're getting, psychotherapy or whatever therapy it is that they need to be better people? When life has dealt you some really, really difficult, stuff, it is easy for you to be bitter and angry. Very easy. If your life has just been a sequence of not so nice things happening to you over and over and over again, it makes sense that you would feel a certain way. But what is going to get you out of that rut? It's not surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are going to help you enlarge your wallowing and pity and all the bad things that have happened in your life and all of that, and talk about it till they're red and black in their faces. That's not going to help you. What's going to help you is surrounding yourself with people that acknowledge the fact that you've been through a lot, but are equally saying to you in your face that there's something that you need to fix. And are you willing to fix it? It almost feels as if some men and women are so scared of admitting the vulnerability of needing emotional therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I have the utmost respect for any man or woman that recognizes that they need help and go get the help that they need. We are human beings, guys. Just like you have your head that hurts, your tummy that hurts sometimes. Sometimes you get diarrhea and you're pooping like nobody's business. Sometimes you've got your menstrual period and it stings like hell. Like your very eggs are being ripped out of you, right? And every other imaginable or unimaginable pain that you can feel. Equally, the brain also goes through imbalances. There's no shame in owning up to the fact that there is something in the core of your being that makes you broken, and you need to be given the tools to navigate through life and be able to find ways of dealing with this pain that you're feeling so that you can navigate your life a bit easier. How many of us have lost parents and were even given the ability to grieve the loss of the parent? How many of us have come out of marriages and absolutely petrified that we're never going to meet any other partner in our lives again, and actually had the safe space to grieve the loss of your marriage, your child, whatever your problem happens to be? But in our society, in our culture, being emotional is seen as a sign of weakness when it should actually be a sign of strength. That somebody is actually acknowledging the mere fact that they need help and getting the help. We are emotional beings, whether we like it or not. And if you're not emotionally screwed on right, it affects the relationships that you have, whether you like to hear what I've said or not. It's the truth. If you're not emotionally right, you're not ready to be in no relationship, because everything in your mind, everything that happens is a bad thing. And that is all that you're seeing, right? Emotions are part of life. It is what makes us do things or not do things. For example, if we had no emotion, ability to feel anything, like sense things and feel things, can you imagine what kind of world would have? So when somebody turns a stove on and the fire is on, you go just stick your hand on top of the plate because you've got no feelings. But emotions and feelings is what makes you know, oops, that's hot. And so when you've been burnt that one time, you know next time to be extra careful when you're around fire. So, in the exact same way, if our relationships are going to thrive and succeed and serve you and the other person that you're with, where we're able to balance things off and have something that is worth having, it all boils down to each one of you in the relationship being responsible for your own self as an individual and making sure that you're ready to even be in the relationship in the first place, to be in one. So many of us are in relationships that are not serving us, but we somehow feel that need to just be in the relationship anyway because what else can I do? So you're just taking it, just that's what I've been given. So let me just manage it like that when you know full well that it's not serving you in any way, shape, or form. Relationships are about a give and take exchange. It can't be that Lynn is the only one blowing air into something and Lynn is the only one carrying the weight of the relationship on her head and expecting it to work forever and a day when whoever she's with isn't also putting some air in that bubble so that it stays stable. And like I said, yes, there might be a period where one or both of you have to, one person has to shoulder that weight because the other person is going through a time. I understand that. But the scenario I'm talking about here is when it just feels like it falls to one person to keep the relationship going, to make it thrive, succeed, flourish. There comes a time when fatigue sets in, when the other person carrying the weight of the relationship also gets tired. Because relationships are meant to be about give and take. Like, I want my emotional needs satisfied in much the same way as I am offering emotional support to you so that yours is satisfied. It's an exchange. That is the truth about what goes on in the relationship. One person can't be the rescuer all the time, whilst the other person is the victim all the time. Like the roles must be reversed. Like there must be equilibrium. There must be a balance to be struck. It can't be tilted one side all of the time. The person that is out there, down there, trying to push the other person up, their neck is breaking. It gets tiring. It gets tiring. So you want this. And yes, sometimes, it wavers and it rocks up and down, but you're each forcing to keep it like this. It's what it takes. So then is the question, how do we find the strength to come out or walk away, like take a step back and evaluate and say, is this thing actually serving me? Is it going to help me in the long run? If you're a woman and it always falls to you to always carry this man on your back and always be the one that is trying to push you both ahead all of the time, you should ask yourself the question, can you do this perpetually? And there's nothing wrong with carrying the man some of the way, but if you have to carry him all the way, are you prepared to be the one that does that for the longevity of the relationship? It's a very serious question that needs to be asked. Can you do it? Because as the woman, you're the neck, he's the head. You can't afford to be the neck and the head all the time at the same time. So are you ready? Like, he's supposed to be the commander in chief, and you are the aide de camp. So if you're supposed to be his assistant, you're equal halves, but you're the assistant. That's your role, right? And you're always having to be the one that is carrying the ship and make sure that it's always afloat. The question then comes, can you do it long term? Because don't forget, as I said, God always gives us enough for the day. Give us this day our daily bread. He gives you enough air that you need for that specific day. You need. So if you now have to pull up on all the reserves to always keep the other person afloat too, can you do it long term? The issue is not with what you've been through and how bad it was. The issue is with how you're responding to what you've been through and using it as stepping blocks to rise above it and be a better person. There are all these motivational people that we all listen to. I have my favorite ones that I listen to all the time. But there's a common thread, and that is that they've all been through something. But they could have been stuck in that something that they've been through and not used it as stepping blocks to get where they are that we're now talking about today. But the difference between them that we talk about and hear about every single day and the people that are not is that they made the conscious decision to make the difficulties that they're going through stepping stones to attaining higher heights in life. Anybody that has a very in-depth story of adversity and pain and difficulty and hardship, I love. You know why? Because I expect those people to recognize that to him, that much is expected, or much is given, much is also expected. How is this testimony going to be, captivating and the talk of town if it's not big enough? How? We are all talking about Jesus now, and some of us are calling ourselves Christians today because he was prepared to put his very life down for human beings, all of us. How many people are ready to lay down their lives for you? Can you say that the person that you're with demonstrates to you every single day that they love you by protecting you, professing you, and providing for you? Love is a give and take affair. Love cannot be one-sided. A relationship will never serve you if the person that you're with has desensitized themselves so much that they've put their heart in a cage, a metallic cage that is untouchable. And men and women are both guilty of this. You're a woman and you met this guy when you're really young and you fell in love with him and you thought that you were going to be with him forever and a day. And then he got you pregnant and walked away from you. And because of that pain that you felt, because of that humiliation that you felt, because you ended up being a single parent when you never in your wildest dreams set out to think that that is what you were going to be, You, my sister, have decided that you're going to put your heart in a metallic cage box that nobody is going to have access to ever in their lives again. You're going to go into the relationship half-hearted, lackadaisical. Whatever happens, happen. If he stays, he stays. If he doesn't stay, I don't care. But I am not giving my vulnerability to any man in my life ever again. And there's some men like that too. They were madly in love as a young guy with this girl that they thought it was going to be their forever and a day, their ride or die, whatever you want to call it. And now it's not that. The person walked away and said he didn't want you. And because of that pain that you felt at that time, you have also decided that every woman who comes into your life is going to pay a price for that one person in your past that hurt you by not staying. You see, if you're not willing to give what you're expecting from a relationship, don't expect that thing. I am sick and tired of men and women. If only I could meet this man who would worship the ground that I walk on, who would love me, forsaking all others, who would do this, that, and the other. Are you prepared to forsake all others and love them back? Or are you going to be selfish by saying that because Isaac hurt me, I am never going to allow Michael to do anything like that to me? So me, I am giving 10% of my heart to this relationship, and let's see how it goes. You're only willing to give that 10% because you still, even if you lose that 10%, doing the maths, 9 out of 10, you still got 90% of your heart left. So you're still going to survive. You're good. Unless you're willing to be all in, then don't be surprised that the lukewarm relationship that you have, that you're not experiencing the fullness that you want because you're not willing to give that. Like, there's certain principles and laws about life that I think that we all ought to know about, so that when we're doing and behaving in a certain way, we actually recognize that, like, the forces of nature always give you what you're dishing out. So if you're not willing to love and be vulnerable, you can't be loving and give love without vulnerability. And it is that vulnerability that a lot of us are so scared of. Because what if I give this vulnerability to the wrong person and he or she misinterprets or misuses that? But it just means that it went to the wrong person. That's all that it means. So if you're not willing to do it afraid, if you're not willing to be vulnerable and be in love with somebody, don't expect it back. Don't. I'm seeing a lot of men who are horrible to the women that they're with because they have to pay a price for a sin that some other sister committed 20 years ago. And I've seen women who are punishing men because of a relationship that happened way down there in your teens. So every man that you encounter must pay for that mishap that happened to you. If you go through life like that, without being able to not treat somebody or pay somebody back in a coin that they didn't throw in the first place, then you shouldn't be surprised at the results that you're having or experiencing in your relationship. The point that I'm here to make this afternoon is that we all want to have healthy, refreshing, loving, romantic, exciting, captivating, sensational relationships. But very few of us are willing to give anything. And I know there are people listening. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what Kofi did to me. You don't know what AC did to me. How very dare you say that? The only thing that helps you is working on yourself. You must be willing to work on yourself. It's not an easy thing. There's no point jumping from one relationship straight into the next one because there are issues from the past one that haven't been dealt with. And until you've unraveled and unpicked what is happening and see the patterns and things that need to change and make those necessary changes, you're just going to, it's a continuation of a pattern. How many of us are willing to pick the valuable lessons? Like sometimes not good things happen to you, not because the creator of the universe couldn't remove you from that situation. He's all powerful, all knowing. He knows the end from the beginning. He can see everything. But sometimes we have to go through certain experiences because that's the only way we learn. That's the gospel truth. But if you get the wrong end of the stick, you start to think, how could God be so horrible? How can he be so mean? How can he allow me to go through? If this God even exists in the first place, how can he enable me to go through all of this stuff? Sometimes when he's talking to you, you're not listening. So the only way to grab your attention is to be quiet and to allow you to walk into that rut. Because when you're in it and you're shouting, now he has your attention. When he speaks to you, maybe you listen then. Right? Bad things happen to the best of us. Everybody in this life has been through something. Whether they're rich, poor, tall, short, light skin, dark skin, chocolate color, green color, blue-eyed, green-eyed, red-eyed, pink-eyed, I don't give a toss. Everybody is going through something. And yes, some people's baggages are really heavy, dense, and denser than others. Not gonna sit here and lie. But the fact that you're going through a situation that is difficult and challenging does not equally mean that that should become a crutch that stops you from being all that you can be. I'll use myself as an example yet again, because that's all I'm good at doing, using myself. In my short life, I've had situations in my health where I've had to literally fight to live. As a kid, I convulsed a lot. Don't know why, but I did. One time, as a 5-year-old, an only child to my parents at the time, I had blood and pus and phlegms and everything choking my airwaves. But for the timely intervention, God is he's just amazing. That my mom said at that time, she was deep in sleep and something that just said, go pee and then go and check up on this girl and see if she's good. So she obeyed. It's why I'm still here. Right? She got out of bed, went to pee, and then just thought, let me just check up on this girl. And when she came, I had just about a third of my eye open. It was all white. Everything else had gone. I was irresponsive. And there was blood and everything else dripping from the side of my mouth. Luckily, across the street from where we lived was a doctor. And we were sandwiched between houses. So across the street is a doctor. On the left hand side is an artist. On the right hand side was a nurse. So you see, in that situation, everything that was needed was aligned to just fit into the scenario. So somebody is injecting me with something to try to revive me. The other person has put a spoon and something else to try and suck up the blood and whatever is there and figure out where it's come from, and all of that. It's why I'm sat here today. I could use all the the stuff that I've had with my health as a crutch, as a reason, as an excuse to not be all that I can be. But even in my brokenness, I make the conscious decision every day to want to strive to be a better person. It's not easy sometimes. It's not. Sometimes it's painful. I'm gritting through my teeth and still holding on. I whinge and moan and complain and cry to a select few people. But I'm telling you guys that the reason why I'm here is that quest to still want to fight regardless of the situation. Now, if you're in a relationship with somebody, it doesn't matter so much that they've been through some stuff. But being through stuff is not an excuse to not be the best person that you can be. If anything, it should actually be what energizes and pushes you to want to be a better person. For me, I am in competition with my own self. But I always want to prove to myself, that old self, that you see, when you want to fight, when you're willing to fight and you seek help and you ask God to help you, and you know that you ain't got no strength of your own, everything aligns itself to get you into that position where you get everything that you want. Prove to your critics that you can be a better person. And in spite of all the rubbish that has been thrown at you in your life, you still are surviving. Those are the people we hear about. But many of us are going through things and we've allowed this thing to permeate and saturate and, kind of seep into everything. Life is happening to the best of us. You can have good outcomes in your relationships if you're determined to make it work. The issue is not with what you've been through and how that has made you and whatever. The issue is, are you willing to grow? Are you willing to change? Are you willing to be a better person? And if that person isn't, sometimes it's okay to walk away, because you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Everybody gets tired at a point. Everybody does. You may have the best of intentions and everything, but sometimes, if care is not taken, not only does that person that you're trying to help sink, but you sink with them. And so not only are you not able to realize your full potential, but that person isn't either. So both parties haven't realized their full potential. Where is the sense in that? You can only give what you have. So if you're emotionally disconnect as a person, you don't have any emotion to give to somebody else. That is the gospel truth. But the issue is not that you're emotionally disconnected. The issue is your refusal to do anything about it. Help is out there, readily available to people that are humble enough to acknowledge that I have a problem that needs fixing. being reactive, being quick tempered. Always, like when something happens, you're panicking so much that you're making decisions not based on careful evaluation of the situation, but just doing things that are 9 times out of 10 wrong things. But if you sat down and thought through it and able to, analyze and critically look at the situation and see how best to navigate it, you see that, when you've done all of that, you're more likely to make a better decision and take better actions than when you're reactive to situations. A lot of us are dating partners that have issues stemming from old. It's nothing to do with you, but they're just carrying a lot of emotional baggage from the past that they refuse to act on and work on. It's part of life to go through stuff, as I've said repeatedly. But it is not about what you've been through. It's all about what you're ready to do and your reactions to the situation. I've had all the issues I've had with my health, but I am so grateful to God, and I thank God every single day that I've been through what I've been through. Why? It's grounded me. I have a lot of empathy for people when they've gone through stuff. It humbles me. And I learn to appreciate the minutest of things that happen to me. Right? I'm drinking cranberry juice, and I'm so excited that I have the ability to even drink cranberry juice. Not everybody is able to. There's some people that are sat in hospitals with catheters and everything you can think of in their dinglings just to pee. I can drink all the cranberry juice I want. Right? So, guys, like with everything else, you need to ask yourself some really hard questions about a relationship that you're in. And if it's not serving you, begin to think what you can do about it. You can support somebody and wish everything positive for them. But if they don't want to take the bait and run with it, you can't make them. And that's a point of acceptance that you have to get to too. That there are just some people who just don't want to grow. They don't. And so you can see the solution. You can see what they ought to do to have different outcomes. But if the person that is going through the set stuff cannot see it for themselves and want to change, there's nothing you can do about it. Love is not enough sometimes. Love alone, not enough sometimes. The willingness to do what it takes to have a successful relationship needs to be something that two parties agree to do. It does not fall to one person to want a relationship to survive. Relationship has to mean something serious to both parties, such that you're both striving for excellence in that relationship of yours. But if one person is lackadaisical about it, if it works, it works. What even shows that he or she is going to stay? If she stays, she stays. If she can't take me for who I am, I don't care. And she can go. After all, everybody who comes to my life goes anyway, so who cares? I've always faced opposition and rejection in my life, so I don't really give a toss about this. That doesn't sound to me like somebody who's keen to make anything happen. Right? When you love somebody, you will do anything to protect them. Make sure no harm ever comes to them. You will stand and defend them against the whole world if you have to, because you love them. You profess them. You put so much air in their bubble. And the bubble is so full, it's about to burst of everything, positive energy, positive vibes, support, encouragement, like be the cheerleader, wanting them to flourish and be the best version of themselves possible. That is what love does. Is your relationship serving you? Can you honestly look me in the eye right now and say to me that that fella that you're with, that sister that you're dating, brings out the best in you? If the relationship is so dysfunctional, that is always firefighting and issues and squabbles and arguments and all of this all of the time, and there's never a time for happiness, should you sit and reevaluate your situation and maybe make tough but needful choices? Because a relationship should serve both parties, plain and simple. And lastly, whoever loves you will make sure that you never lack anything. Make sure that you're provided for in every sense of the word. Provide isn't just about finances or money or things, even emotional provision they would make for you. A relationship that doesn't have emotional gratification or satisfaction, it's not a relationship at all. Are your emotional needs being met? Some people think emotional need means, does he have good sex with you? No, that's not what I mean. Is this somebody that you can be yourself with? Raw, and you're just your usual, authentic, real self where you're not pretending. Can you tell this person your deepest fear without them taking advantage and using it as a weapon? Even your flaws and mistakes, you can share and discuss with this person freely without it being used as a weapon of attack when you have arguments. Being able to evaluate your relationships from time to time helps you to pivot and put yourself in that position where you're analyzing. It's the only way to be better. That is how you figure out the things that are not going so great in there and what needs to change so that the changes can be made. Agreeable by both parties, by the way. But a lot of relationships have been made such that they falls to one person to make it work. It's been turned into one-man band. It's somebody's job to keep it going, to give it the oxygen, the blood, the white blood cells, the whatever blood cells, the air, the oxygen, the water, the sunshine, vitamin D, vitamin K, everything else you can think of in between to make it work. But it's a nurturing that is a responsibility for both. Both of you have to be willing to be gardeners, tilling the land, pulling out the weeds, watering the plants, the flowers, everything, exposing it to sunshine so that it works and continues to function as a proper garden. It doesn't fall to one. And so I ask you again, is your relationship serving you in every sense of the word? Does it elevate you? Does it make you excited? When you think about that partner of yours, does it bring happy thoughts to your mind? Or does your relationship feel like some job that you're doing, some chore of yours? And every interaction of yours with your fella or your sister is so much hard work that you wish you didn't have to do it. And if it's not serving you, are you willing to walk away from it? Say, this is not. I need better than this. I deserve better than this. Do you even believe that you deserve better than that? And if you do, what are you doing about it? I cannot prescribe what you should do to you. You are in your situation and you know how much of it you can take. But I'm here to point out to you that if you're not aware and you allow yourself to be blindsided, the fact that he gives you great sex doesn't mean that your relationship is healthy at all. What's the point of being with somebody who gives you great sex and yet you can't be yourself and tell them what your needs are and how you're struggling in a certain area and just be vulnerable around? They don't even understand you. It's almost as if they don't even know you. What's the point? Marriage goes a heck of a lot deeper than what goes on in the bedroom. That's just the icing on the cake. Like, there's a lot of things that have to all be in order to climax to that point. And if the foundation of a house is wrong, everything that stands above it is just sinking sand. So all it takes is one big breeze of wind and everything comes crumbling down. Like nature, God, life just has this way of, you know, testing you. And it's like a cage that is being rattled by whatever. Imagine a chimpanzee rattling a cage. If you equate that to a relationship, it's always brought to the test by situations to see whether there's resilience, whether there's anything that binds, that holds, and everything. And if there's no connectivity, there's nothing, there's no strength to you as individuals and then as a couple, it won't stand the test of time. Both parties in the relationship need to be healthy emotionally, physically, mentally, psychologically, financially, every sense of the word. Emotionally being a very big component because that's just kind of holds everything together. And when the emotions are wrong, everything else is wrong with it too. So I was just passing by to drop some nuggets here for all of us to think deeply about, including my own self. Like a lot of the times when I am having these conversations with you guys, it is also a point for me as a person. It's almost as if I'm listening to somebody talking to me. And it's a reality check and a lesson point for all of us, including me. So I guess nobody else has something to say. I've been talking at you for the last 83 minutes and counting. If anybody wants to say anything, now is the time to say it. But if there's nothing to say, then we shall call it a time. But I really, really love and appreciate every single person that is here that, you know, comments, likes, everything in between. Please share this video. If you love me and you know it, please share my video. I pray that it touches your heart. That somebody even sends me stars. And I don't mean going on your phone and trying to be clever and putting stars, sending me those kind of stars. Like when you go on the Facebook and you're on the video, there are stars, the stars that it costs you something to send, right? To support the platform. the Wi-Fi, the everything that you guys get to enjoy, the streaming and all of that, it gets paid for. I know there are people that appreciate what happens, the content that is created. And I salute every single one of you for everything that you do, the engagement, the support, the sharing of the videos, the liking, the commenting, the people that are subscribing. There are a few people who have taken it upon themselves on a monthly basis to support this page. And it costs them something to do that. And I love every single one of them. And hope that more people would be moved to do same. Right? Don't just come and just listen and get free wisdom, free knowledge, free everything, and just whatever. Cost something to happen. So for those of you who do those things for me, you would always have that very special place in my heart. There is one particular sister of mine called Aisha Ankra. I hope that there's somebody here that knows this woman that can tell her what I've just said or about to say. I don't know this woman from Adam, just on social media. I've never met her in person. I cannot wait to get to England and go find her where she is and personally thank her. But the love that this woman demonstrates is so powerful that it can't go unrecognized. Don't know her from anywhere. She would like, she would follow, she would comment, she would send you stars. She like anything to support you. Miss Aisha will do. I hope that somebody will copy this, that just brief part of this video and send it to her and tell her Sika said thank you. Like love like that is just overwhelming. So I hope that there are more people like her that would support platforms that bring education and something that you take away that helps your life to be better. So without further ado, I hope that somebody will send stars. Doesn't have to be anything much. Whatever you give, I will take. But thank you in advance and be blessed. So I love you guys so much. As I always say, I want to see people that are successful and thriving. This is an educative platform with inspiration, motivation, entertainment, excitement, and everything in between. But I love you guys. I really, really do. I might not know all of you in person, but once you're a person, I wish you nothing but God's best in everything that you set out to do. Right? Give and it will come back to you. Good measured, shaking together and running over. That is what it says. That's the law of life. It happens. I love you guys. God bless you. Stay beautiful, handsome. And I hope you take a cue from what we've just said. I love you guys. Mwah. Bye.